Let's see, it's bad. I'm not seeing it on my machine.
It's a minute for attendees to come back in once we start. There you are.
There it is. Okay. Join as panelists. All right, it's 5 o'clock and we're going to open the meeting. First item on the agenda is the roll call.
Tom Olson, member.
Giselle Malloy, member.
Kristen DeSante, member.
Larry Dunn, chair.
Ann Schmidt, member.
Ray Rafferty, Vice Chair.
Michelle Fitzpatrick, secretary.
All right, very good. So you all got the agenda. Let me bring that up here. First item is the approval of minutes from September 9th.
I move we approve the minutes as presented with amendments to make corrections for the lack of recording of votes for Miss Malloy here. She was listed as is on here, but it's not in either of the voting records.
She's also not listed as a member.
Present.
Yes, she is. It says member is called, was
Yes.
ordered, Malloy was listed
But above
in the roll call.
that, she's not listed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? All
Well, first of all, I second the motion.
right, we have a vote for all those approving with the minor modification made by
They're not so minor.
major
Major.
changes made by Mr. Wilson. All in favor? Passed unanimously. The second item on the agenda is public communications. Let's see, we'll have to take this in order. So I guess you're first. With the crowd that's here, we do have someone out there as well. Yeah, but you get precedent because you're here. Okay.
Oh, should I do it again? Okay, so I'm co-chair of a nonprofit in Groton called Groton Conservation Advocates, GCA. And we pay attention to the policies in Groton that affect the environment. And so we're very interested in climate change and encouraging the town to be very forward acting on climate change, et cetera. So really this evening, because I've been away, really not participating for so long, I'm just here to really listen. But I do have one question. First of all, the statement, Mr. Chairman, you made an excellent presentation to the council last week. So I want to note that. I wondered if you are paying attention to the trees inventory that Parks and Rec has just completed. There was a presentation to the council, I think the week before you spoke, or earlier in the same week. And it seems to me that so they counted all the trees, we know how many trees we have now and of what kind, but there's no plan developed yet. And I think it would be great if the Conservation Commission looked at the study and talked to Parks and Rec about what kind of plan they might come up with. We frankly were disappointed they only looked at street trees and some public parks. And a tree area that needs to be paid attention to is the remaining forests on town lands, especially schools. We have talked to John Reitner and John Burt, over the past year about the importance of saving the forest in Pleasant Valley. Now, when you made your presentation, it's clear that council really gets it, that the west side of town is really in need of more tree cover, more open space, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just want to encourage you to look at that study and maybe comment on it and be in touch with Parks and Rec about it.
All right, thank you. Without responding directly, it is on our agenda today. So it will be a topic of discussion and we'll get back to it. We did do a review. We do have one additional attendee. If you would like to speak, would you please raise your hand?
There we go.
All right. Let's talk. All right, you have the floor.
Okay, great. So my name is Chris Kuhn and I am a resident of Groton, Mystic, also a member of GCA, also interested, supportive of the work and here to kind of be acquainted. So thanks for the chance to introduce myself and I look forward to seeing you.
All right, thank you. Additional on public communications, I've got a memo inviting the ECCD, Eastern Connecticut Conservation. On October 18th, Tom has indicated he would attend that session. And so one of the items for our November meeting would be a readout of that session. The other item, which was sent out by Dave, which received and sent out by Dave, was the Long Island Sound Study. Let me bring that up. We all got it. Let's see, maybe
Want screen share? that?
yeah, I can screen share it. Screen share. There we go. Let me make it a little smaller. Okay. This is a survey.
Bigger, please.
Bigger. Well, I was trying to get more
Made it
in.
smaller, but can't see any of it.
Come on. All right, well, they're doing a study between September 23rd through November 22nd. And so this is more of one that says, if you're interested, if we are interested, we would then, log on and fill out the survey. That was more for informational for us, but no other information at this time. And you all should have a copy of that. If not, let us know. And what am I looking for here? Word. All right, so next. What I got was an invite on the 2024. As I mentioned, there's so much stuff going on in the community for us to go through that we have been parsing it out. But this is on October 24th. There's the annual meeting exposition of CRC, and that's waste. Okay, I guess I'm presenting.
I'm already signed up for that.
And you didn't let me know that, correct?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. So we both of us were on the subcommittee for waste management. So you're signed up for that. So since October 21st, so then again, the November meeting, that would be a readout of that session.
I thought it'd be for Michelle's textbook on life cycle of, they were talking about solar panels in particular.
Are
which I
they?
thought might be interesting for you.
Again, if you do need more information, we could send you
Yeah, could
this.
you send me that, way to sign up?
Okay.
I would
Do
say
that, I'll
Google-
do
just
that.
Google CRC. We can, and then whatever.
The sign-up's
if you like,
online?
We can do it if you like. Yep.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Right.
That's something else, but it's not.
Let's see.
Might not be able to do it.
Okay. The next thing was, well, Liz was here, so she did send a nice memo about the presentation at the town council, which she already verbalized. So there's also information there about what's the status of Willbrook, which we'll also get into because I ask that every meeting, I think. And Deb knows the latest. She's our expert. Okay, next. Let me stop the share. Whoops. And go back to this. Forgive me for bouncing back and forth, but I got my notes. So the next item on the agenda is the report of chair. As stated several times, I presented to the COW on 9/24. They seem receptive. We'll see what happens. Really trying to position for the next budget cycle to promote additional funding for stewardship, which would include the items you talked about, plus the number of items we had. Later on, we're going to talk about to revisit our priorities on the, I guess I shouldn't call it PLCD, I should call it Groton 2035.
There you go.
Is that, am I stating
Right.
that correctly? All right, so you can correct me as if I misspeak going forward. So we'll talk, we'll kind of go back to that again. Speaking of that, on 10/1, there was a kickoff at the Sutton Park. It was sparsely attended. If I take away,
About 45 people, not including staff
yeah, but if I take away, then
Yeah.
let me call it the normal folks that attend,
or the usuals.
the usual.
Usual.
Of which, I'm a usual. It was like under 20. Because I think half was at least that. So the pizza was good. I'll point that out. And it is more than we get, but I think, the continuing is we're picking up a little time. I'd like to be able to, I don't know how to get more people there, but we think free pizza would have been an attraction, but not as much as I thought.
Yeah, next step are a series of pop-ups. Right now, we're just trying to encourage people to take the survey.
All right.
Yep, and
I-
on the Greater Groton page, I'm hoping tomorrow will be something that's downloadable, so if anybody wants to share it with their network, you can do that, just.
Right on the survey. Now, I did accost our consultant friend about involving the Conservation Commission. And I guess there was concurrence that he is going to go to each of the ones. I did say that we had discussed amongst the three commissions, ECD, zoning and us, to have a joint meeting. And I think the three chairs are reporting of that. So we'll see what happens. So that I assume is going to happen in this next 30 to 45 days. Is that a good
I
assumption?
think they're still doing interviews at this point. They're finishing up the staff interviews and are gonna be branching out to commissions, and so at that point, let's do the next.
That was my question.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be not 30 days, more
Probably not 30
60
days.
days,
Maybe,
maybe. This year?
hope so.
Oh, no. We have a firm commitment.
There you go.
That maybe we'll get around with this year. All right, next on the agenda is the report of the commission. I do have a number of things going around, so let me not promote it. I'll just start around the horn.
What's in the agenda?
Okay,
I just want to share on a light note. At home, my wife has pollinated garden out in front of our house. She has the butterfly weeds that are randomly in the garden. And this particular year, they flowered early in July. And we saw maybe one monarch butterfly enjoy all the blossoms. The bees got there, but apparently the butterflies were elsewhere. 6 weeks go by, so in the middle of September, on a warm afternoon, my wife calls me out. And we go to the plants. Now the blossoms are long gone, the leaves are still there. and they're starting to form the seed pods. And we counted 17 monarch caterpillars in this small area. It's about the size of this table. And to the point where one leaf had a large caterpillar on top and one on the bottom. And they're both having at it. And I thought was amazing, because there was one monarch that flew in maybe a week or so prior to that, going from plant to plant, but the flowers are gone. And I said, I wonder if they're gonna lay eggs or not. And
Evidently,
Yes.
they are.
they have, and that was, we're very surprised. And now there's maybe 4 chrysalises
Nice.
that are there. And the butterfly weed has absolutely no leaves. It came in and it looks like as though it were late winter on these things. So they ate everything. But just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Oh, I attended the Groton 2035, and I also went to the Alliance for the Mystic River Watershed. And actually Liz was there as well. I thought it was an excellent meeting, a lot of representation from a few of the tribes and then the 4 towns in the area. A lot of presentations. There's a presentation from CCOG on they're making a grant application to EPA for heat mitigation. There's a presentation on ongoing climate vulnerability work in Stonington and how they're used very similar to what Groton's doing. They have consultants working within the community and partnering with the community over 3 or 4 sessions to develop a plan. There was some suggestion that I thought was kind of good from somebody in the audience that said that some information on what the actual goals of that project could be distributed to the community in one way or another ahead of time, so that people were a little more informed than just being given all this information and trying to respond immediately or having some period of time after that. There was a nice long break for networking, which unfortunately took away from the last presentation that had to do with regenerative sustainable practices for watershed protection. And that presentation was a mile a minute. And I just, I did send Maggie a note if the slides are available.
They usually do
not-
send out slides.
Yeah, I'm not on the distribution list,
Well,
so.
I am, but I haven't
Okay.
seen it yet.
Okay. Yeah. But the slides were packed with incredible information, so that was something that I really actually would like to study. It was very nice.
Slides from that. Okay, I'll make sure to
Distribute those.
distribute those.
Yeah.
Let's see, I attended along with Tom and Liz, the tree presentation as well. And then the 2035 thing, the pizza was very good. And then GCA had a meeting and there was some concern with GCA and you clarify. They felt that it's sort of the ability to find information on the website is not good, especially like the link to the 35 survey. I think that's the main issue, right? It's like people want to take the survey, they want to see what the meetings are, but it's hard to find it. Was that, can you clarify?
What?
They were they wanted a user-friendly way to look at the website. Things like information on Groton Community Forum or whatever, they weren't satisfied with the way the links are presented. That like people know about the survey, they want to take it, they couldn't find it. They had to dig or know where it was. So that was just a general comment that maybe that could be freshened up. Or made more. Much else.
I have no comments.
As I mentioned before, I did attend the tree session with the Parks and Rec, and then I was out of town for the last 2 weeks. I did work with Larry on the presentation in great detail as far as getting all the numbers and everything together. And I did address the council ahead of time to let them know that I had blessed everything at that town meeting. And so, it did have credibility, so.
Oh, thank you.
That's all I have. And I missed the ECCD meeting for the back
You
whack.
did some other things, you submitted a blight.
Well, yeah, in working with GOSA this past month, they have property on Waltz Walls in Woods that's on Drosdak Drive, which is across this, and across the street is the town property, the 0 Drosdak Drive. We did some investigations in there because if you'd looked at it, all the trees were defoliated. And when we did the research on it, we found that there was actually beavers that had dammed up and had caused high water level on the culvert going through across Drosdak Drive, and then that had oversaturated the trees and caused them to lose their leaves. Whereas you go downstream into the where it exits into the underground MS4 piping system past the post office there was water running, and also the water level was what you normally would expect. And so that's what caused us to go do a little bit more research. It took a little bit to get to it all, but finally got to the beaver dam and stuff. And then and then that had already been identified to Public Works. They've trapped the beavers supposedly, and that problem is because it's on private. A vast majority of it is on private land. As far as the damage and stuff, they're not going to do anything more with this because it belongs to the La Triumph apartment complex. And this is the part that they gave to the town, was where the creek part is. So there's no, and so, but in my investigations, I ran across, I ended up with blight issues because of the amount of trash that was on La Triumph property draining into the town property. I wrote them up and I haven't had an opportunity to see what the blight officer is doing with all this information, but I did. And then I also submitted the dedicated open space audit inspection checklists that we've added to the stewardship plans. I filled out 2 of those for Ms. Maitland and provided those, and those were included in the package. So that's the rest of the story on that.
All right,
Good job, Tom.
Where'd the beavers go?
Mr. Hanover didn't tell me. They're gone.
Aren't they sort of like part of the ecosystem? Like, isn't there?
Well, this is the balance. Do you want beavers or do you want leaves? Okay, and do you want highway safety or do you want leaves on I-95? That's one of these things that it's a balance that our advocacy for the Conservation Commission is kind of in the middle of the road on this to some degree. So there's values on both sides that have to be taken.
Ecosystem, if you got beavers like building their little.
Yeah.
worlds there.
well, it's not a bad thing, but on the other hand.
Cause damage to other stuff.
So,
To what Tom mentioned, let's see,
I didn't advocate to have them removed. That was Public Works on their own. They went and did that.
somewhere in this was Tom's. Up there. Okay. Let me get to the top of this. As long as we're on that topic. And let me go back to share. Okay. So if you go through, these are the forms he was mentioning. I highlighted eventually. Here we go. So in terms of being on he requested that they remove the washer and dryer from the creek. Now, does the form go to Parks and Rec or?
This is all maintained by Michelle Maitland, as she briefed us a couple of years ago when she asked for these
Right.
to be included into the stewardship plans. When I put those in there.
Because I'm trying to understand, are they gonna take action or do we? have to
Parks and
decide?
Recs, when I approached, as part of the cleanup that we did for back in the April timeframe. I identified the washer and dryer in the creek, in Birch Plain Creek at that time, because it was fully on town property, okay? And I identified that to Mr. Barry at the time as the Parks and Rec director, because he did volunteer to pick up all cleanup. If we had the group from Yukon
Yep.
come out, they cleaned up along at various locations. We didn't get up to very much. They did clean some stuff up in the EB parking lot area, but they did not venture into the water to drag these things out.
Okay, yeah,
And
within the
Mr.
water.
Barry said, my staff is too busy cutting grass and doing other things for the summertime to get to it. So it's still there. The water's much lower now, so he's can almost get to them without getting wet. But he said he would take care of it, and I'm leaving it with him because I don't feel like yanking them out myself.
No, I was suggesting that. I was just saying is that is it required that from a Conservation Commission point of view, we do a follow-up to them that says based upon the audits, there's these recommendations that came out. Could you give us a status?
We could always harass him, but it's going to happen as fast as it's going to happen.
From our sage staff, is there a recommendation?
I mean, I don't think Mark would have a problem with somebody just reminding him, you know.
Okay.
Well, it's probably more so it's Tabitha has been updated here.
Yep,
because,
yep,
you
yep.
know,
Yeah.
It's really her
So, yeah,
area
no,
now.
it's to Tabitha.
Just
We
yeah.
have that. And I did talk, I guess I did talk at the session with the town council with him about doing our meeting, getting back together. And he
Right.
said, you didn't forget about it. He's gonna
That's
do
about
it."
where it is. The washer dryers are right with that.
But I think it maybe do a gentle reminder. So I will, there's a couple more. So I will do a follow-up note on checklist. To remind them. Nicely. Okay. So there was that one. Let's see. Now, the other note that you mentioned to add this to the stewardship plan. So Michelle, that was one for you.
No, you've already done it, haven't you?
Oh, you did it?
They're already in the stewardship plan, you said, right?
Well, on the Drosdak Drive stewardship plan, I have not updated that to include this because it's just, I update these when something comes up, but I haven't, just for one piece of paper, I'm not going to go out of my way
Right.
here.
No, I guess where I was too is that the stewardship manual,
Right.
not the individual plans.
Well, the reason this comment was here is because it's not it's in the Birch Plain Creek plan, but it's not in the Drosdak plan. Okay, there's two different properties.
What I'm suggesting is that we have the individual plans, but then we have the one stewardship
Right.
manual. What I'm suggesting is this as a form
Put the form itself in the
in the
manual.
stewardship manual. So
6 of
that
one,
would
half
be
dozen other. The reason I had it in the individual plans is whether or not, if its applicability to that particular parcel, whether or not there's MS4
If
considerations.
applicable.
Yeah,
Right.
Fine.
but I have not
Yes.
gone up and reviewed all 14 plans to see which ones need
That's
it.
why I didn't want to ask that. I would just say if we have it there, then as applicable, when we get to
Well-
it, we can add them.
It's just a piece of, just add it into all of them and it's there if you need it.
Yeah.
Should be that. Okay.
Right, I think it belongs to individual plans then, because the manual is just to tell, I mean.
Is a process,
it's a
not,
process, right? The plans are the actual,
Well,
what you
to me,
do.
this is part of the process.
No,
Okay, wait a minute.
it says on the list as things you could do, but all the details of what to do with it are in the plans themselves.
Okay, so we have the two owners, if you will, of the two pieces of this. So are you willing to add it to the individual?
I will go, if that's the action you want, no problem. Give me a week and I'll have it done
That makes
for the
more
next
sense.
meeting. For all the plans, they have to be approved by us.
All right, okay, but the blank form, we're not asking you to do the reviews.
No, the reviews are is done under the guise of
Right, right.
of all the actions that for
Okay.
the individual parcels.
Okay,
But nobody's been doing it. These are the first two we've done in 2
Yep.
years that we've even had these things.
okay.
It's a process.
Now, the other one about the no dumping signs, I assume I can add that to the.
There actually are no dumping signs that are posted at the EB lot. And so obviously they're not too effective, but they're closer to the entrance. So you have to drive by them to get to this location so it's a couple of 100 feet from where the sign is to where the washer and dryer is, which is just prior to the actual catch basin area that's there. Because there's a fenced off catch basin area going into Birch Plain Creek to take where all the drainage for all the parking lot area goes into. So the signs are posted already, but on EB property as opposed to on the town, but right next on where it becomes town property. So how effective they would be in the future, I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's no signage at Drosdock. And that's where and I can tell you, as when I wrote the plan, there was trash lying over from the abutting property and stuff. And I'm sure that has not been cleaned up. I just couldn't even get to it this year because it's so overgrown. I have to wait till later in the, when after everything kind of dies back.
Okay.
I don't want to really have to. It was hard enough getting to the little bit that I did do.
All right. I think that's all the stuff I had on the audits and inventory. There hasn't been any updates to my knowledge on the inventory since the last time.
No.
Yep. Okay. Didn't think so. All right. Let's see. Open space planning. I did not have any updates on that.
Did we? I haven't had an opportunity to listen to the town council meeting that happened. Was there any actions given from that relative to this? No. So they're not taking any.
No
discussion.
As I said, my thought was that I doubted they were going to come up with any actions, but as a precursor to the budget planning cycle where we want to push for it, go back and reference,
Okay.
the input that we.
Well, I just didn't know if they felt that they needed to take more action up there relative to taking a look at it from all these different viewpoints.
Nobody took me up on my.
Okay, gotcha.
Plan of conservation and development.
Should be changed to Groton 2035.
Well, it kind of, that's the state calls it that.
Yeah,
So the document is the
equivalent of.
the equivalent of it. So
We could put in parentheses.
okay, we could add in parentheses. Okay. So what we have, go back to sharing again. So as you recall, share. All right, let me see if I can make that a little bigger. That back earlier, I guess in June, we had agreed as a commission on these 6 initiatives that we wanted to focus in on for the now named Groton 2035 plan. And we also had folks line up to kind of take each one of the elements. So
I'm just wondering at this point that we had 6, but with all the other stuff that's been going on relative to the trees, should we be consideration of a 7th topic here?
that's the topic of this
Right.
little portion of the meeting,
Okay.
is to revisit this to see, do we want to add, modify, delete any of these items? And our newest member has one of a to-do to line up or sign up on one. Although if we add trees, then maybe that's something we could sign up for. So I guess the first thing is, do we want to keep the 6 that are there before we add, because we had the extra focus on the bottom, and I guess I should add the tree plan to it, which is still farther down the agenda. So any comments? I think some of these are easier than others.
Yes, I have a comment.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if it makes sense to keep outreach as a separate topic, because outreach is kind of part of everything we do. And we never did come up with any way to define, like we asked to, what the town or, what kind of outreach they would want, and we haven't really heard it, we haven't got anywhere on it. But we're doing it. I mean, the college projects, the Earth Day Fair, attending all these meetings. I mean, we kind of do outreaches as part of our normal process. So what, either we need to get some definition on that, which I haven't had any luck doing, or we just say, does it really need to be spelled out in the plan because it's part of everything we do?
Well, I think, and we're talking about the Project 2035 reset, is this time around, the town staff is taking the point of view of we've got to do more outreach, more outreach, more outreach. So to me is that it's one thing to do outreach as part of the creation of the plan, but it's another thing that says it's going to be a continuous element as part of plan of conservation and development. So am I mistaken and said that should be part of the ongoing outreach?
Yeah, I expect that to come out of the adoption of the plan. Horsley Witten is close to finalizing a public engagement plan for the development of the plan of conservation and development. That was part of their tasks, part of their scope of work. So they're taking that on to engage the public and get them participating more than has been
In the
past.
creation of the
In the
plan, what I'm
creation.
saying is that
And I-
ongoing.
Right,
Yeah.
and I expect that to be one of the recommendations of the final plan, how to continually engage and update.
Okay,
And so, yeah, I think that will be part of it.
which is why,
Which kind of covers, I mean,
well, it's in there. That's all I'm saying is if
Right.
it should be in the plan.
right?
These priorities for us to make sure that we look at and go, yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense. That's all. Because we're not creating the plan. We're going to provide input and we're going to provide reviews. So, the focus items, so the question is, do we still agree that the outreach is a focus item, or do we think that given the staff's focus on it, we can delete that and add something else? That would be okay.
Could I comment? I think when we initially came up with this initiative, it was kind of like, wow, we're doing so much great stuff here in this group. And we need to be a little more vocal about broadcasting and sharing what we're doing and making more of a public face on it. But I think the Eco Fair has accomplished a lot of that, because at least that's a place where we do have that connection. And I think we were thinking maybe go to different types of fairs, but I think we're all like kind of busy, so. But I think initially it was more like to help everybody understand that we're here,
Right, but I think, the Earth Day Fair has accomplished a lot of that, because we have a really good interaction with the public at the fair. And I think if other things came up, we would go. It's like going hunting for them doesn't make sense, but if something shows up, hey, there's something going on, then we would do it. But I think, I guess we're already doing about as much as I think we can handle at this point, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
things out there. That's the problem. We have to divide it up because there's
Right.
so many.
but we are proactively doing
Yeah,
it, though, that's my
proactively.
point. We are already proactively having it part of our process.
we could take outreach out and put trees in.
Right,
That's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Then still 6.
I figured she was gonna go there, but,
anyway,
okay.
Tom wants to chime in on that.
I agree that the 6 focus areas that we originally established were, what do we want to ensure is in the next POCD
Right.
is where we were going for. And to ensure that we had these targets to go give to the consultants, so to make sure that when it's written, that our voice is heard, okay? From listening to how things have evolved now, a year plus later, I agree that the outreach portion probably is happening, okay, adequately, and I have no problem removing it, but I do still be pushing to say the trees portion of this was been taken on by Parks and Rec, and they're really not part of the POCD development. They got their own thing. They got their Parks and Rec master plan world going off and doing things, and they're taking care of their parks. But I think we need to expand the trees to go beyond just the parks and take a look at all the town properties. And that's why we need to put it, add that area in as under our tree advisory board responsibilities.
I think we kind of all disagreed on the same thing.
So. Okay, so we agreed on taking that out. And then the next question is, do we want to add a focus area or initiative back in?
On trees.
What about, I mean, trees is pretty.
But we have
broad.
to define it better, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Defend and
because,
protect.
Well, I think because we've had this, we just got the report coming in, okay? We need to go put, take, somebody here needs to take a lead, okay? And take a look and just as we've done on all the, we were taking a month, each person took their thing and then we talked about it at a meeting, a follow-on
Yep.
meeting. And I think we needed just, that was very successful. I think everybody did their thing here, went and talked about different areas and did a little bit of research and put things together. I think we need to do that for trees also. I think we got a great starting with the report that came out. Okay, it shouldn't be that difficult to expand it to take a look at what the holes are relative to, the other town areas that we have responsibility for as the tree advisory board and as a conservation commission, as far as what we'd like to see in here.
well, that one is on. the
Tree
table
management, I
in a
would
little
call,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tree management would be the terminology, I would think,
Yeah,
on town property, tree management on town property, or something like that. Something along those lines.
I guess it's not a plural. Yeah.
On.
Tree management of,
On.
on. And that bifurcates into street trees and
Parks and,
Parks and
the
rec
managed
trees
areas and the
and-
not, and the dedicated.
and then open
areas.
space trees.
Yeah.
There's like 3 components of
Yeah.
that.
What the stuff that's on the tree, on the Parks and Rec inventory and what's not on the inventory.
Yeah, which would be the other 2
Yeah.
categories.
Right.
Okay, volunteers to, given our history of getting somebody to sign up.
Oh, you got a hand here.
I can try. Yeah.
Okay, there's no try.
I will do it.
All right.
Did you fix
What?
the font?
Oh, Jesus. Do that later. Boy,
Don't get to it.
old CD. Okay, so, we tried to get, is there a second on the trees?
What's the question?
The question is that, we're adding Giselle to the tree management, we had names here. Some of them had 2, some had 1. I'm just wondering if somebody.
Well,
wanted to-
if because there's a lot of property issues with it, I'm more than willing to assist. And since my definition's pretty much done already too, I can help. But she's got the lead.
Did I spell that right? GISE?
Yes.
She actually has a name tag here.
Oh, well, I can see that. Oh, you got a name? Very good. Thanks to town staff. Printed out a.
Thank
thing.
you.
Now, these extra focus areas we work on. And most of these can get covered under these, the initiatives per se. So can I declare that this topic is closed and we've done our
Yep.
update? All right, so be it. Let me save it. There we go. Okay. Let me save it later. All right. Next was. Uh. Budget support. I guess that doesn't get energized until, what, December, January?
Probably January.
January?
The requests have gone out to departments for capital improvement projects. We expect that to start trickling in by the end of the. Probably won't be finalized until.
All right, so
January.
what I would suggest is that at our December meeting, we kind of start maybe getting a little more serious about budget discussions, at least what our recommendations are.
Well, one thing I would say was that this tree plan that was presented, just reeks of a CIP, to be
Yeah,
brutally honest with
yes.
you. Capital improvement program. So it's a recurring thing. That's how, like, a good example I would put is that the trees should be treated by Parks and Rec, just like the highway repaving project is being done by Public Works. Okay, they come up with a list of these is the things we're going to do this year. This is X thousands of tens of thousands of dollars, and then that gets all put in each year, and they can chop and chop. And as far as like this past year, they said, "Oh, I really don't want to do Industrial Drive," and they whack that line out. Okay, and you should be doing the same things for these trees thing. So we should be advocating with Parks coordination with Parks and Rec to be doing something like that, to develop a new CIP. And I don't know if there are or they're not, but
I don't know, we'll ask when we
yeah.
have our.
Who's, do you want me to ask? You
No,
want to
no,
ask?
no, I said when we have we're supposed to have a meeting back with.
Oh, as a part of the Parks and Rec
Yeah.
meeting. Okay, so just add that to the agenda.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, except that I still haven't heard back on, well.
I did nudge them.
Because it's the three of us, so.
Okay. 6.5 was vacant land review. I have no update. I keep asking every time I see our town manager, are we ever gonna get back to any of these? Deb?
So I don't know. What I can tell you is that the request for proposals for Groton Heights has gone out. And we anticipate having the one for the Pleasant Valley School to go out by the 1st of November. So we do have a new manager of community and economic development who wants to get her arms around these two projects before going on to the next vacant.
Okay,
project.
so is she in addition to Paige?
Paige has left.
Paige is left.
Yes.
Okay, so she
She is the new
Paige,
Paige.
the new
That's
Paige.
correct.
Okay.
I think you met her.
I did meet her. That's why it hit me that I went, well, wait a minute.
Yes,
What
she's
happened to
very
Paige? Okay.
competent. Yes.
Okay. So the plan so we wouldn't have a TOP meeting until she gets through.
And more than likely not until after the first. of
after
the year.
first of
That's
the
right. I mean,
All
right
right.
now she's concentrating on hiring a new Corinne, to take her place.
Okay. All right, the next one was the Connecticut College project. At the last meeting, we made a decision to publish.
Yes, and I got it to Larry
And
last
it-
night.
She got it to me last night and it's been sent out. So it has been published. So we met our objective. So it did go to the 3 state folks.
Okay,
It went to the
nice.
city and
Okay.
it went to the town staff. So,
Awesome, thank you.
so that is out there.
And we're gonna publish it on our site as well, correct?
Well, it's kind of there.
Okay,
I mean, if you look at, I went and looked at it again. I said, well, it's really all there. It's a little bit different format,
Okay.
but all the information's there. And I said, there's actually more detail now on the town site than there is in the presentation.
right.
So I kind of said, let's
Just let it go.
let's let that
Yep.
go.
Okay, so that was the one piece.
That was, yeah,
And then so the next meeting, we're gonna look at the topics. Barry already gave me his input, so that's great. So the choices are, you can give me your input before a week before the meeting, so that we can have the input at the meeting, or you can give it at the meeting. But obviously, if you give it beforehand, we have more time to think about and would give what people already said, get more ideas. So, and Giselle, we talked to Elizabeth about the last meeting. Do you know what we're talking about with this? Okay, the town college projects? Yes. And so we want to have, get our list together so that I can talk to Jen in December and have her ready to present to the students in January.
So same format, we provide a bunch and then they select.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Kristen.
Well, I have good news for me, but not such good news for the mentoring thing. My daughter's having another baby. So it's in the time frame that I will probably not really be very available
Okay,
to work on the mentoring. I'm probably out of town for another reason, January, February, and for that reason, March and April. So I'm working a little bit with Jason, but I'm just gonna be, yeah.
yeah, but by now Jason's kind of familiar with working with the students.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking I think we can, just with a little support, just connect them directly with Jason, because he
Right.
kind of knows what, how to get, he knows what he wants from them.
Right, and yeah, he knows what to expect, what they can and can't do, so, I mean, if it were the first year with that, it would be
Yeah, no.
concerning. But now that we're in the third year,
Yeah, and we're already having conversations about pulling people together, and we're
Yeah.
planning now, and.
yeah,
so,
we
yeah.
have 2 years of
I mean,
successes, so he
I could
should
probably
be,
help out with some of that too, because we're at most of those meetings with Jason.
Right.
oh, good,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
So that's why I need to kind of hand
Yep.
off, at least for this period of time.
Okay,
sure.
My,
because I think that's like our top project, that's
yeah,
like one of the best ones that we have is that Earth Day fair, so, yeah. Okay,
so I've been like dreading telling you, I'm like, should I call her? Should I?
Why would you dread
I just
good
feel
news?
Bad, no, it's good news, it's good news, but I,
Good
you know,
Good news.
Yes.
as Liz Raisbeck said, boy, grandchildren are terrible for the environmental movement.
but
That's
you-
an interesting quote.
they shouldn't depend on one person though, anyway. I mean, it
Yeah.
shouldn't be like, if you can't make it, it shouldn't fall apart. So it's good that we're,
It's healthfully launched. We already have our
Yep.
food vendors lined up, so it's got a life of its own now, which is why
Right.
I feel okay stepping back.
awesome. So anyway, so yeah, you can get me your stuff beforehand or just bring your ideas to the meeting, either way.
Right, very good. Next topic I had was under the open stewardship plan was the community tree plan, which is in the agenda. Pages and pages and pages. So we did review it. We did put out a letter back to Mark on that, our feedback. I think the thing on, well, a couple of things. One is, which we talked about, is to support a CIP for Parks and Recs for the implementation of that, and we already talked about that. The second thing I had is the guidelines, and maybe Deb can help here, is what guidelines does planning have for subdivision and regular plan approvals for sufficient tree diversities in new construction?
Right now, we are working on updating the landscape section of the zoning regulations to
Good.
include in the appendix a list of suitable trees. Right now, I think we refer to the road and drainage standards that I believe have 5 trees listed. So we're upgrading that. I'm hoping we will have a text amendment ready to go to public hearing by the first of the year. Subdivision regulations have not been updated in quite a long time. So the trees that are suggested in that document are probably not appropriate. However, typically what we do, we have a subdivision and a road that's associated with it. Trees are required along property frontages, and we have an internal review, staff review before it goes to the commission. And most developers they're like, just tell us what to plant. So we don't limit ourselves to just the trees in the subdivision regulations. However, that I'm hoping is going to be a CIP project to update the subdivision regulations along with the road and drainage standards.
Okay. All right. Now, I mean, we did, as part of the college, we did have the native plant,
They did look at the tree canopy, yep.
which we sent.
Mhm.
You have a copy of it, so at least that
Yep.
you've got some
Yep.
input from some work done by the students, which pretty good,
Mhm.
pretty good review.
Could I create a little trouble?
Oh.
Sure.
No,
Just, what about if we just encourage developers to also include a pollinator garden or two somewhere, not just trees? but to set aside a certain, little tiny, itsy bitsy amount of space for some pollinator garden.
And that would probably work with site plans, not necessarily subdivision plans. Because subdivisions clearly are to create lots that are sold to individuals, right? A site plan is for a larger commercial complex, that is under the stewardship of one person. So yeah, absolutely.
Just trying to sneak
Yeah.
that into the
No,
wording
absolutely.
somewhere.
I mean, we can ask them to incorporate that into their landscape plans. I mean, everybody's required. Yeah, yep.
Great.
Yep.
All right,
So,
That-
yeah, one of the things, to connect this back to the other one is, they students had that tree canopy thing. I think we can definitely have at least one or more than one tree project type of going through the plan and making suggestions for how to expand that into the other properties or something. So we can definitely, focus, since we're trying to focus on trees, we can maybe leverage that to have 2 or 3 of the proposed projects be associated with trees somehow.
think about that.
Yeah, so yeah, think about, because now we have a better idea, we all have a pretty good idea now, except Chelsea, since she hasn't been here, with what we can expect from the students and what to task them with that makes sense. So now that we have that, we can say, okay, what can we task them with about trees that make sense?
Well, the next bullet says development of a more detailed action plan for assessment of the overall Groton tree.
Well,
canopy.
oh, okay, bullet point still under the stewardship.
I'm still under
Okay.
stewardship.
Okay.
Which is kind of the request we have from Liz. What do you do for the rest of the trees? And between the stewardship portion, which we're pushing for money, which gets into what we've really been pushing is how do you manage invasive? Because that's killing trees. I mean, that's where we gotta start.
Yep.
The street one is a little bit different because they're right visible and you need to replace them tree by tree. When you get to open space, we're not talking tree by tree stuff. We're talking about broader actions that we would do. So that's something that's there. Let me put that on hold because the elephant in the room is the major recommendation coming out of that review was to create a separate tree commission and take it out of, right now, formally, the Conservation Commission is responsible for the tree commission, and a number of us have actually gone and done the tree board university course. And if, check that box. So I guess the question is, as a commission, do we want to continue and then, given what we just said, expand upon that responsibility? Or say, well, I'm gonna open it for discussion, or have another commission set up. So let me throw it open for. I have a point of view, obviously, but I'll wait. Let me see what other folks have to say.
Well, as far as from my viewpoint, adding an additional commission is overkill. And I would not support trying to generate another commission or a special committee or anything like that. I think we've got enough infrastructure here, interested people that are concerned, that I think it's still within the purview of the Tree Advisory Board's responsibilities. Now, the Tree Advisory Board really got started a number of years ago as part of this Arbor Day, I think, that's one of the requirements, and is the sign is posted right outside the building here. And we get the decal every year. It says 25, 26, 27 years of continuous service with them. And that's really been generated to a large part by the Parks and Rec. So it's a joint issue between the Parks and Rec Commission and us under our Tree Advisory Board. And I'll be brutally honest with you, we haven't done all that much other than kind of pulse the public works people, do you have a tree warden and that type of stuff? We've on occasion have done that. But we haven't really gone much beyond that as far as in the overall climate, heat and all these other aspects that come in with trees. We did have a large discussion in our open space conservation plan in regard to that area, but we really haven't taken any actions in that area. And I think we have enough momentum here if on a go-forward basis to be able to support Parks and Recs efforts, Public Works efforts, and ours, I think is more than adequate to cover what the intent is from the recommendation. And I think because our advocacy as a tree advisory board was nil to somewhat lethargic in the past, that they didn't even know, nobody knows about it. And so we need to have a more proactive stance on what our responsibilities are, wearing that hat that's been already assigned to us.
Well, okay, my motion. So,
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with everything that you just said.
Well said.
I kind of think it's not worth yet going into a commission. Let's see how we, as a group of interested folks, start out, and then later on, if it's a more bigger deal, maybe, but I think right now is a good.
as our tree advocate.
I think right now it's a
Okay.
good.
Are you going around the room?
Yes.
Yeah, it just seems that with all this focus right now, with his whole big study that was paid for, and the study that was done, and all the results that have come down, that there does seem to be a lot of focus on the trees right now, so I don't think we need to punt it off somewhere else, because it just seems like there's a lot, like as Tom said, always so wisely, there's a lot of momentum built. I guess we just need to keep an eye on it.
I agree with Tom.
I do too. I just find that over the years, trying to address tree issues, has somebody's finally turned their burner on, cooked this up a little bit, and it's nice to see the momentum. It's nice to see this report. I don't want to overwhelm the system and go out with another commission,
Yeah.
and it'd have to be new funding for it
Mm.
and so forth. And I think it would just crash and burn if it went off in that direction.
I just as a little bit of follow-up to what Bray said, we have to remember that this effort always is ARPA money that was out there as a one-time deal due to COVID and everything else. And so we have to kind of put that in perspective as far as on where this is all going. But and I don't know, Bray, do you have more history as far as when the tree advisory board was generated? And we got assigned to it? Because I mean, you've been here for 36 years or whatever. When were we assigned this responsibility? Or do you remember how that happened?
It just somebody initiated Arbor Days challenge,
Mhm.
and through the planning department and who we were working with, and we became they had certain questions to fill out, boxes to check. So we checked them off and submitted it in, and then became a tree city. And stayed with it ever since, and Parks and Rec has been the
Lead staff.
lead staff on it, because they were doing the Arbor Day celebrations.
Yeah.
And it was Parks and Rec were the ones who said, yeah, we know where to plant a tree or how to get a tree. And they incorporated into the rest of their department.
Mm.
So off it went.
Mm.
And it's been there for whatever the sign says out there.
26, 27 years.
So they needed a safe place to put it, just to hang a sign on it, and that was with us.
Yeah.
Because it's an advisory, it's not a regulatory.
Right.
Right.
So I will see your bet and raise. My suggestion is that we actually, on our agenda, have one of the items be tree advisory board meeting. And to put all the tree stuff under that, rather than fitting the trees in other places, because it's not exactly open space stewardship, I mean, it's more than that. And maybe even have, the section of the requirements for what the tree advisory board is, take a look at that, and maybe we should beef that up a little bit. So basically, sort of create a new commission, but the new commission is us, right? It's us doing our jobs that we're already assigned to, only adjusting it to reflect what the town and the people of the town currently want.
Okay. I guess my view is similar, and I'm gonna throw a couple more things in it. One is the practicality. We've been looking for Giselle for
About 3 years.
at least 3 to 4 years to join this commission. To set up a new commission and somehow it's got to have at least 4 members, I'm assuming. You know, even fill that, I think is with openings that are around on existing ones. And if you look at the number of commissions the town has, I just think practically, it's just, I don't understand what's gonna happen. Especially then you have, like I said, 3 different components. So you got the open space, which we focus, that's what we focused on. I mean, if you go back, and I agree with Tom, we haven't focused necessarily on the purity of the tree advisory board, but we had to get a baseline plan in place for open space, which is where the bulk of the damn trees are. So that was our first objective, and we put out the plan. I mean, so we've done a lot of stuff in that area. The second one is there wasn't anything to actually review because Parks and Recs only just now came out with something that we could review for that. So, because I'm in agreement with what you said, that right now it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if we get to a point where all of a sudden, if the town doesn't invest any money, then what's the purpose? I mean, we're gonna review plans that never get done, right? And we have taken steps, and we signed up for the advisory board. I know we got 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to remember how many actually took that
I don't know
course.
if I did or not. I need to go back and look. but
I
will
thought,
take it
I
if
thought,
did.
yeah, we had. a
I thought I
footnote.
did, but I
At
mean.
least half of us actually have gone through the unit, you know, the state tree university. Name is, tree board university course. I'm sorry, that's the.
It's
Which
at the
is-
state level,
I'm
right?
sorry, that's something that you, I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, it's good. And so you could go through that, and that's actually a good resource base and does kind of bring you up to speed on it. So what I'm hearing is we don't support the recommendation to set up a new commission from us, which then says, now what do we do about it? Which then says we need to then respond to the report differently, because our first response was on content. We did not comment on that other than saying, don't do it. I think we needed a more expansive response in terms of that. So my suggestion would be that Giselle and myself construct a response to, let's see, the formal, I guess would be town manager.
No, I would do it to Parks and Rec.
Well,
Department
no,
is-
Parks and Rec made a recommendation and that went to the town manager, did it not?
No, this is just a draft plan and that's a recommendation in their draft plan. So it
Okay.
hasn't been finalized yet. I mean, if you want to provide more input to the plan, give it to Mark Berry. You can copy John Bird if you want to, but
Okay,
it's. his-
all right, okay,
he's
fair
the
enough.
plan.
I was just trying to see where that was in its cycle. To that point, but I think we need to, you know, like, I don't want to do it here because we'll do it offline, but I need to stress, we have done a bunch of stuff. I agree that the formal part of a tree advisory board, that was made a little thin, but in trees, we've done a lot. Right, so I think we need to stress that point is, I'm not sure, where do you separate? Then what, this commission is only gonna do street trees? Because what, they're gonna pick up stewardship of open space?
Well, it's kind of like, where does the tree warden stop?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, that's my point. I mean, it's this, so I think, you know, that's the point we have to make, what we've done. What when you talk about the tree canopy of the town, what it means. And the slice they're talking about is what? 3,000 trees? I'm trying to remember the inventory now that
It
was
was 3,066.
3,000 something. Yeah, I mean, it's like a pittance when you talk about the trees on town property. All right,
So,
so that was an easy decision. to
right, but
make a
so
response.
what do you think about like having the tree advisory board have a separate line item on
No,
our agenda though?
We will
Yeah,
change.
That kind of
That's a
meets,
good idea.
that
Agenda
meets the
item.
spirit of what they're trying to do, which is to put more focus on the trees,
It's there, but we
Right.
buried it as we did
Right,
today.
to
we
make it
buried
more-
in Stewardship.
right, to make it
Yeah.
more obvious.
Right,
Yep.
so stewardship will now be more focused on
Mm.
open space, whereas the tree advisory board will be focused more on streets and
And trees.
maybe the,
Or Whatever.
well, I'm thinking public works. Well, I guess we can talk about this.
Yeah, you can work that out.
But they're really
Right.
the 3 different components
Right.
and how does it come together? All right, so we have a decision to do that. What's the schedule on the recommendations?
Yeah, I don't know where they're at with it. I don't know.
Well, I don't want to let it sit there, so we probably ought to do it within the next 30 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll be a draft by Wednesday.
This is a collaborative one.
Initial draft starting point for the two of you.
And Tom does great something.
Yes, he does great, son. All right. But would it, oh, okay. Since it's hard to stop Tom. As soon as we
Don't
get
even
that, then we'll have a session and we'll.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I agree.
Very good.
Agree.
Tom first, then. So, Larry, right, 30 days. All right, and. I guess the other question I have is, do you want to wait for our November meeting to approve a letter, or do you delegate that to the subcommittee to send out a letter that we've agreed on?
Delegate, because we don't know what their timeline is, so sooner the
Yeah,
better.
I agree that we need to move
That's
quickly because this is
that's why I asked the
draft.
question.
Yep.
Okay, so, but I formally, we have that the commission has
Yep.
delegated
Yep.
the responsibility to the subcommittee to publish said.
You followed the right protocol, Larry.
Just trying to follow the rules. Okay. Anything else on stewardship?
Yes, we still haven't gotten a response from Mark about meeting with them on the stewardship plan, the manual.
Like I said, I verbally accosted him to do that. And I've got it on my to-do list to send him a
Okay,
reminder.
perfect.
And probably in this letter for response for the tree advisory board, we could dig them again on that.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah, we need their feedback if we're gonna do our job.
Yes, that's oversight and advice. right?
Mhm.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I had.
Okay. 6.8 was outreach. Anything on outreach? You talked
Kind of
about?
covered that under your report of the chair and who's doing what with outreach, so.
But the eco fair planning stuff is underway,
Underway?
starting now.
Okay. Which then gets us to new business, which was a draft of the meeting schedule
It's the very end of the
for,
document.
for 2025.
Wasn't that on a separate?
It's in there, it's in the.
It's in the very
agenda.
last page.
Last page 125.
So I guess the question is, does anyone have, I mean, you've taken care of the holidays and darn thing.
It's only one, so.
Oh no, only one gets hit, September,
Mhm.
this December
It's
8th.
Labor Day.
Yeah, Labor Day. The other
We have
ones,
enough people here that we can generally have a quorum, even if one or two are missing or remote or whatever, that's fine.
all right, so are we in agreement with that proposed schedule from staff?
Yeah.
Aye.
All right, without exception?
Okay.
We
Is there a
support-
motion?
Yeah, well, without exception,
Okay.
we have approved the schedule as recommended by town staff. Okay, any other new, oh, I'm sorry, town staff.
Dave didn't tell me I had to do a report.
He always does.
He
He does a
did.
great job.
I mean, as you all know, we've launched Groton 2035. Next steps are to finish up the interviews with town staff, so Parks and Rec is part of this plan. They are interviewing, social services, the police department, the Public Works Department, Parks and Rec. After that, they will move on to commission interviews, including the Parks Commission, you all, planning and zoning, and they're using this to develop a baseline report. They will present that at a public meeting and a discussion with Planning and Zoning Commission. In the meantime, as part of the public engagement program, we're going to be doing pop-up meetings. Horsley Wooden will be giving us essentially a meeting in a box kind of kit so that we can reach out to nonprofits, to apartment complexes, to church communities and try to get small group discussions going on to get their input and to encourage them to take the survey.
Given the fact that Earth Day is in April, is there something that could be inserted into Earth Day?
Yeah, part of their public engagement plan is literally to piggyback on other things that are going on.
Okay,
They may not be there, but it'll fall to town staff to.
I'm
be there.
just
Yeah.
saying as a
Yeah.
way of
It's
whether
not just that,
survey
there's,
collection
what
or.
else is there? Celebrate the season of celebrations, you know, at
Yeah.
Thrive in December.
Because given
There's a number of
history,
things.
I believe that's probably the largest congregation of citizens in
Mhm.
Groton that we have,
Mhm.
is Earth Day. Because it was like over 1,000 people.
Yeah. I mean, National Night Out, we were scheduled to be there as well before it was canceled, but right, yeah.
Just saying.
Yep. No,
Caveat that weren't
absolutely.
all Groton.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the caveat is they're not all.
I agree.
When this is needed,
When the plan of conservation.
when you want the surveys, like when
Oh,
the
there's,
last,
as of right now, there is no deadline. There's sort of a soft deadline by the end of the year.
oh, by the end of this year.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is like an
It's an
initial
18-month
survey. That's it,
Mhm.
yeah.
Exercise. Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know if you all have looked at it, but it's very basic. It's, you know, what do you love about Groton? What needs to be improved? It's very open-ended. And you can find it on Greater Groton.
again, a link on the website, like right on the homepage of the website. Of the
Well, I
town
think
web-
part of the problem we have, just you say that, but when, if I open the thing up and it has the Envision Groton, but this is on the Greater Groton website as opposed to the town
Yeah,
website.
town website. Yeah, so that someone's looking town of Groton.
No, it's
Oh,
just a-
look, here's a QR code linking me to the survey.
We can look at that, yeah.
Yeah, because there shouldn't have to be a hunt, you know.
Yeah, I don't think we put a QR code on the website, but we'd give a link to the survey, yeah.
Okay.
But we are developing small postcards for handing out, so.
Very well.
Yep.
And thank you for supporting us this month.
Oh,
Yes.
Sure. Every now and again, not bad, yeah. Yeah.
Any other new business?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi. Wow.
So
I think
passed
this is our
unanimously.
earliest
I know.
ending.
record.
It's a record.
Ah.